Some people want to get H-1B visa stamping. There's already somewhat of a ban. Maybe there'll be an exemption, but if you leave, you never know when you get that appointment. Tourist visas are probably just not happening with that being the lowest priority of everything. I'm getting calls for people who want tourist visas. I'm like, well, give it a shot. And who knows if they're scheduled. The nightmare adds on is how they deal with K-1 fiance visas, this hybrid non-immigrant immigrant visa. I'm doing a couple of K-1 cases right now that did lawsuits, or they felt like one of them, the couple that's engaged had a baby, which becomes a U.S. citizen, immediately became part of the exemption. And the way the embassies, each one deals with K-1 fiance visas, it's so inconsistent. We have one embassy that asked for a G325A for the petitioner beneficiary, form that hasn't been used in 2 years at least for fiance visa cases. And it's just a mess. The procedures are all wrong, and just adds to it. Who knows how they're going to handle it? I had a consultation with someone from a South Asian embassy, let's say, and the embassy gave them administrative processing because they said the K-1 visa is subject to the immigrant visa ban. And when it came out, I had to deal with a lot of embassies to fix that. This person just came 6 months later, and their life got delayed for no reason for 6 months. It's a nightmare, but it seems like these things are pending. Had they told us about anything about K-1 visas, how are they going to treat those as priority or not? Their website, DOS, I think they said they're going to give us priority, but they say one thing, but in practicality, something different happens. But also, which embassies are not processing at all? I imagine Abu Dhabi, Armenia, Turkey, the embassies we deal with are cut back drastically with processing. But any information on which ones are not processing?
Yeah, so in terms of the K-1, your first question, those are going to be given priority. The Bureau of Visa Services did say that they would be included as immigrant visa applications and given priority. In terms of the embassies and what their processing capacity is, I mean, as you mentioned, for example, Turkey has decided that they are only going to accept and process and have interviews for individuals that are either Turkish citizens or they have resident status in Turkey. So, for example, all of those Iranians or Afghanis or others who might have been going to Turkey for their interviews, those have all been canceled now, and it doesn't look like they're willing to budge and make an exception, even if someone's been sitting there waiting for weeks now to have their interview. Yerevan is also very limited and has indicated that they will not accept any transfer requests. So if, for example, you have a client that used to be in Ankara and now you want to try to move it to Yerevan, they're saying, no, we can't. They've had a lot of problems for over a year now because of the conflict that happened with Azerbaijan. And so it's been very difficult for that embassy as well. I guess the one thing,
communication with them, they say they're not even processing visas too, even though I got a lawsuit in for K-1 that's forcing them. So even if you're already with Armenia, it doesn't mean you're going to get scheduled. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Was that client of yours Armenian or from somewhere
else? From Iran. They joined the Milligan lawsuit, and really quickly they got an interview. So federal lawsuits may be the way to go. I think there are lawsuits against the embassy in Turkey for making this arbitrary distinction of Iranian versus a resident of Turkey, non-resident. Several colleagues said they sued. We're going to see what happens with these. The problem with these lawsuits is sometimes you win most of the time, it seems, but it only applies to the plaintiff. So right. Your clients have to buckle down and pay $4,000, $5,000 just to get what should happen normally for them.
Yeah, I mean, again, they've really just kind of imploded from within, particularly with what happened with the Trump administration and how they've kind of just broken it down. So all you can really do as an attorney is, one, advocate for your client, right? Do your job. Just because the situation is horrible doesn't mean that you shouldn't try. The number one piece of advice that I always have for attorneys is keep your arguments concise, direct, explaining what is it that you want and why you believe your client should be able to get it. If you rattle on for 3 pages, the officer doesn't have time to review that. Keep it short and sweet. And then in terms of, the other thing that you can do, like you said, is file a lawsuit. It really does go a long way to making a difference. And the third thing is to reach out to your elected officials, like your senators and your representatives, and tell them that the State Department funding is critical, that they need more resources so that they can do their job. I mean, most of the consular officers that I've interacted with in the years when I've gone to embassies for tours and interviews and things like that, not interviews, conferences, they're really good people that want to do their job. They just don't have the resources and time to be able to do their job properly. And so then everything suffers as a result.
Yeah, just diplomacy in general, and not just consular processing portion of it. For the last 20 years even, it's been in the process of just degrading. or more of the budget goes to Department of Defense and to intelligence agencies, and just destroying the diplomatic corps, which is a shell of itself at this point. And just to rebuild it is going to take years. So it might take the whole initial term of a Biden administration just to get to pre-Trump levels, even, and that's not much. So it's long delays, and it's going to affect the economy in the United States. So many businesses already. This inconsistency how they're issuing the NIE, the exemptions to the travel ban from Europe. People have businesses they can't come to. None of it makes any sense. It's a disaster. And Biden administration extended it to a large extent and added a country to it. So they're kind of continuing that aspect of it as well. So it's all bad. It's all bad news, unfortunately, but it's better to know the bad news and to have expectations. There's nothing worse than a client who thinks that they're going to get the embassy appointment 6 months go by, they haven't. They're going to get mad at you, the attorney. That's why you got to set the tone at the very beginning. These are the delays. I just lost the fiance visa case because I said, it could take at least a year is nothing. It's going to take 2 years for you to run a fiance case, unless you file a lawsuit and really push it. But that's that. They're like, you know what, we're not going to wait 2 years. So I said, okay, it's probably going to go. Maybe another attorney that says, oh, it's 3 months, and just give them that story, or they're just going to break apart. It's hard to have a relationship be torn apart for 2 years. That's too different.